Hey Craig, how you doing? Hey Craig, how you doing?
Great. How are you going?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. All right, we're just gonna give people a couple more minutes here to join. Turn off my waiting room. What's up, Dan?
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
I'll have visual here in a minute.
Oh, you're good, take your time.
Yeah, the old
Just
Zoom. I had to clear my cache, and I don't know my Zoom password off the top of my head. There we go. Hey, there I am.
all right, we'll just give people a couple more minutes. Usually takes about 5 minutes for everyone to get in, but hope everyone's having a good start to their week, especially with the spring forward.
I'm on the other end of the earth, mate. It's coming into autumn down here. We've just had a good summer.
Oh, nice.
We're about to have a cyclone apparently tomorrow. So it's interesting times.
Cool. Whereabouts are you located?
In Queensland, Australia.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we've cyclone warning at the moment. There's a cyclone sitting off the coast, and apparently it's going to turn back to the coast tonight. So half the uh, half the local area is panicking, and the other half just don't care. I
yeah, we're
guess we'll,
kind of the same way. We're kind of the same way here.
uh, it's like I guess we'll deal with it if it happens, and if it doesn't, yeah, then we'll just get on with it.
Yeah, we always throw parties whenever we have blizzards or hurricanes. So we're just like, what happens, happens.
Exactly, exactly. All good. And
Welcome
whereabouts
in.
are you?
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I've lived all over the US. So I've been in hurricane country and tornado country and wildfire country. I mean, you name the natural disaster, and I've lived someplace that had the natural disaster. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, just the
but
way it is.
we have blizzards here in Cleveland more than anything else, and we get a little bit of hurricane, but mostly just blizzards.
Yeah. At least it looks pretty. So bit of snow around always looks nice.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually been kind of a mild winter. We haven't really had a good winter in the last few years.
Yeah.
Probably for about 3 years we haven't had a good winter. So, right after COVID, it was like an ice box. I mean, it was so dang cold. And then after a couple years after COVID, so like 3 years ago, things just went back to normal. So
Yeah.
no, very little snow, very, normal rain, nothing special. But we'll go ahead and get started here, everybody. So welcome to our Monday open troubleshooting for high level. You can ask basically any question that you want related to high level, whether it's business related, operational, troubleshooting, pretty much anything you want. Simply raise your hand and unmute yourself when I call on you, and then I will help go through anything within my knowledge. So my name is Mario Aldayuz. I am the head of partnerships here at HL Pro Tools. I am also a veteran high leveler, so I've been in the space for quite some time and just love helping people. So let's start with Dan Doyle.
All right, my friend. I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So, here is a pipeline that I have. Okay. And what I need to do in this pipeline is a little backward, well, not backwards, but a little different. So if a customer is not manually moved to a new stage in the pipeline, I want to do an internal notification. All
Okay,
right.
that's easy.
So, where would you, I know it's a trigger, right? For update
Yep.
opportunity.
It would be a no, it would be a trigger for stale opportunity.
Okay. So, oh, do I not have it open? There it is. So here is my stale trigger opportunity. Here is my question. Okay. Let's say I want to, this is like hot lead is there for 7 days. And this is actually a different pipeline, but um, where would I trigger the internal off of this?
So off of this, you'd put an if else condition.
Okay. So you see how these are all here? Will there be an if else for each one or just in general?
It'd be an if else for each individual workflow trigger.
Okay. So can I have these all in one workflow or do I need separate workflows?
Ideally, you'd want separate workflows.
So
And
separate
if you
workflow
have,
for each stage of the pipeline.
correct. And if you have separate workflows, you don't need an if else.
Okay. All right. So that's the best way. If I do the separate workflows, and this was my next question. So I think separate workflows kind of answered it. The internal will be something like I'll be able to pull the opportunity stage.
Yep.
Okay. And say, hey, something hasn't moved to we submitted to the insurance company stage, call them.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And
Well,
you can do the other step you can do is you can add a manual call right below the internal notification. And that will show up as a dialer item in the manual actions tab under contacts. So they'll get both a internal notification and it will put them in the power dialer so that all they have to do is hit play.
and when they hit play, it'll ring the customer.
Correct.
Okay. So it waits to get now. If they're running primarily off of the mobile app, will that show up in their notifications?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to come back to you after I let some other people go with power dialer questions because I have some questions about those too.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Next up. Yep. Next up is Josie.
Hi, Mario. I'll just share my screen to show you what I need help with. Share. So I've embedded the group calendar to this page, but then the client doesn't want to show the pricing. Is there a way of like embedding the calendar here, but without showing the pricing?
You have to use CSS to hide it.
CSS to hide it. Okay. Because yeah, she's charged like a booking fee. I said, if we didn't have the pricing on, like if we're not charging on a calendar, it wouldn't show here. But because she's charging a booking fee, and then the way that I was offering a different alternative was like to have the each individual calendar as a button, and then it would go to that calendar. Is there any other option?
No, the grouping doesn't have the controls
Mm-hmm.
outside of using CSS to
Okay.
be able to hide elements or show elements. I
Uh-huh.
like the button idea a little bit better than I like the grouped calendar personally.
Yeah, I like that too, but she came back saying she liked the calendar. I thought that was a good solution. Yeah. Okay, so CSS, any light on how I can get this CSS code to hide it?
Yeah, so go ahead and go into the CRM and go to that page.
Yep.
And then because you're using a the code card instead of the, so let me request screen control from you.
Yes.
So in here, there we go. In here under calendar, you have the ability to use the group page. So you could just pick like, is ABN one of the pages in the group?
Yes.
Okay, so you would just do this.
And
And
that
then,
was that was very confusing because then I thought that I was only selecting one. So, okay.
no, it's a dumb way that they put it.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I delete this one?
No, yeah, go ahead.
All right, now this should enable us to use CSS on the page. The custom JavaScript embed of calendars
Mm-hmm.
operates a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So let's now refresh this page. And then we're gonna right click on the price and inspect. And that's div class price. So all we're gonna do is go here and go to, nope, not this one. Custom CSS, do dot price. Like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we should be able to preview that code on the page, I think. Sometimes that works. Nope, that didn't work. So let's preview it. We may need some other CSS, but we'll get it sorted on the call.
Okay,
There you go.
all right. Awesome. So then I have another group calendar for business. I just copy that same CSS code and put in there.
Is it a different page or the same page?
No, it's same page.
Then it shouldn't display any
But
prices.
here's the other calendar. I see that's still showing the 280.
Yeah, that's because this is a
It's
custom
only
numbers.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just add the calendar how you did, and then it should work.
So group page.
It's like a business, keep going down. Any of the business, like sole trader, yeah. Small business. Uh, all right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Anything else I
Yes.
can help you with?
No, that's all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, and next up is Andrew.
Hey Mario, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I had a question about if you can create custom objects on like a bulk import.
No.
There's not even like a workaround through a webhook or anything like that.
You would have to use the API,
Okay.
and that would be able to create them. So you do a Google sheet with the different custom objects.
Yep.
And then are you subscribed to Scott Helliker's GHL Growth Tools?
Never heard of it.
All right, I'll drop a link in the chat.
Okay. Because I was trying to use their use case for like real estate, but really I'm trying to do it for a property management group. And I talked with Nuno, but he just hasn't really used the custom objects a ton. So he was like, yeah, I'll just follow this use case, but he didn't have like a good explanation for me.
Yeah, so that's GHL Growth Tools. He makes all of the API modules for Make.com and Zapier. So the current Make.com and Zapier integrations have super limited functions,
Yeah.
and his is the entire API. So he just released the custom objects pieces. So what you do is you have a Google sheet with all the listings,
Yeah.
and then you'd run a search rows for the Google sheet with no filter.
So, all right.
And
Say that again.
you'd run a search rows function,
Okay.
like get rows, but no
Yeah.
filter. And then you'd use an iterator module. I think you might need an iterator module. And then you would probably sleep for 1 second. And then after you sleep for 1 second, you'd use GHL Growth Tools endpoint for creating custom objects to create the object.
Okay. But I need to use his API key for this, whatever this product costs.
Yeah, it's like $47 a month for one location or $97 a month for unlimited locations. But if you use Make or Zapier, it will grossly supercharge everything you're doing.
Yeah, and that's what I was planning. But you're saying this will help with the Maker Zapier integration.
Yeah, because it's modules for Make and Zapier.
Okay, got it.
And I use I actually have 4, because you pay for it on an agency basis.
Okay.
And I have 4 subscriptions to his stuff because it's amazing, and I recommend it all the time to people.
Got it. Okay. Awesome.
Cool. Anything else?
I'll probably have more questions once I dive into this thing.
If you wanna sign up for it now, I can help you get it configured on the call.
Okay.
So just let me know. Cool. All right. Next up is Quintina.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Doing pretty good. Thank you. I'm calling because I'm trying to figure out how to connect the reviews and referrals, automations, and the small business snapshot.
Okay.
Should it work even if I just publish it, or are there certain connections I need to make, and like connecting to the forms, connecting to the review requests, things like that?
So tell me a little bit about exactly what you're trying to do with it.
Okay, I want to use it for my clients to be able to automatically request reviews, but I wanted to take them to the, how would you rate us page? How would you rate us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars? And then if they choose, 1 to 3 stars, it will take them to, the feedback portion of the automation and go from there. If they choose 4 or 5, then it will prompt them to leave a review on Google, and then go to the referral survey where they refer someone and put the information in. That whole workflow.
Gotcha. So it should work if you just literally turn it on. But what you'd want to check is the trigger, to make sure that the trigger is what you want to trigger it off of, if that makes sense.
Okay, so the trigger would be, okay, so an invoice paid, the opportunity status change, pipeline change, or request review contact tag. So,
Yes.
isn't there a way to like customize it to maybe with the logo and stuff on the form?
Yeah, so that would be under sites and forms. If you want to share your screen, I can walk you through it. Okay, so you're going to go to forms in the top center. And then builder. And then you're going to look for review request form right there towards the bottom. And then this is where you would customize your branding.
Now, isn't there a funnel page or something that one of those?
Yes, you can also customize it on the funnel page itself. So go ahead and hit the back button in the top left. I'm just showing you some different options. You would go into funnels. And then it should be under try small business template.
Both of these.
And you have your service satisfaction review survey. And this is where you would edit this page. And then you can, so do you see where it says broken image at the top? So those are going to be custom values.
Insert the logo.
Yeah, you can
okay.
insert the logo there. You can swap it out in the custom value. Either one's fine.
Oh, okay. So, okay. But I can edit the page the way I want it to look. And so I literally just publish it and all that works.
Yes, ma'am.
And the same for the referral.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. Let me see what else is on. Okay, and the call appointment result form, is that the same way?
Yeah, so the call appointment
that
result form is an internal form.
So I would fill that out, or the owner would fill that out, and then it would just automatically send to the person that they wanted to send to.
Exactly.
I wanted to know.
Awesome. Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Cool. Next up is Jean.
Hi. I'm actually glad she asked that question. I have the small business thing and I never looked at that funnel. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to take a look at it. My question is actually about custom objects. So I was doing some reading, but I couldn't quite get far enough along to actually find somebody who was doing it. But the custom objects, I read about somebody doing pets, and it got me thinking about a client that I have that's a tutoring center, and I was thinking of having the contacts. Right now, the contacts are parents, and we're just getting started together, and then have custom object for the students. Because right now all the testing we're doing is booking the parents essentially, right? And we have like remaining hours and stuff like that. And I have an automation that every time they book, it like minuses the number of hours for that session. Could I do that same thing with the custom object of students? I tried to create it, but then it didn't work out. So I deleted it because I didn't want them to be confused by seeing the students custom object and being like, what is this? But could I do it?
Yes.
Okay.
You could. Custom objects are still pretty new.
Mhm.
And and when I say they're still pretty new, they're kind of like workflow actions for custom objects have been a little bit hit or miss. Like they weren't in there last week when I looked, but I'm going to create one right now. So hold on 1 second. Let me just look and
Okay.
see it.
Yeah, they have them
what
in the workflows.
And you're saying hit or miss, so I'm feeling like maybe I shouldn't be testing this with a live client.
No, I mean,
But
okay, so they are. So let me share my screen.
okay, cool.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can. New
Okay,
workflow.
perfect. Yep. So let me move all this annoying Zoom stuff out of the way because Zoom has to, of course, have like 5 gazillion windows. So you have a trigger that is like booked
Okay.
or something like that, or
Right, right,
status, or whatever you want. And then
right.
in your actions, you'd have you type in record, and then you would update the associated record for the contact.
Okay. So you type in record. Okay. And how would it find this right student? You know what I mean? Like to
Oh,
book the appointment
because
against.
so why not use students as contacts? I guess would be my next question.
Because like right now, like when I have them booking the appointment, they're putting in their name, their email address, and the parent is only going to have one email address, you know? And so two records can't have the same email address.
Gotcha. So what you're trying to do is not going to be possible
Okay.
until they put custom objects in forms, because
Oh, okay.
realistically what needs to happen, it's doable via the API, but it's probably a lot more work than you want to do.
Yeah.
What needs to happen is in forms, when you create a form,
Yeah, and
you
the parent chooses
you
their
would need to
email or
put in,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, they would put in their email address, and then you'd have another field down here that is
For
a custom
student
object, and it
and
would
a poll.
populate. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I was kind of imagining. I couldn't get it to work like that, and I was like, what is like how are people doing this pets thing? Like, because I was imagining the kind of same thing. Like you have two pets and they're getting one needs a rabies shot on, July 11th and the other one needs a whatever. And I was like, if they're able to do it, I should be able to do it. Okay. All right, so I'll just wait till I hear the words custom object and forms, and then I'll know that I can do it.
Yeah, you can. Trying to think of how you would. Let me look at my custom object settings.
Okay.
Objects. There, let me delete this one. Association, none of the many. So you could do. You could. Let's see if this will work. There it is. So if you put a name field, so if the association field was like pet name,
Mm-hmm.
you could, if the association field was pet name, you could in theory, and I haven't ever done this before, so this is like, let's, what time is it? We have 30 more minutes. Yeah, let me try this. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new custom object. Objects. Delete parents. A custom field for pet name. And that field is going to be overwritten. So if I go into, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. Add custom object, pet name, pets, pet name. And then under associations, we're going to create an association to contacts pet name. Which is annoying that it doesn't let you select that.
You have to do the pair of labels in order to do the.
Oh,
one
really?
together. Yeah.
So then we would come back in here. Let me duplicate this. And sites, forms. I really wish if you selected a blank form, it would literally be blank. So stupid. So now let me go through my workflows. This one, add a trigger, form submitted. Is pet updater. I also need a under contacts, I need a custom field. I'm gonna call this vaccine date. And then we need one under contacts called vaccine date. So the two pet name and vaccine date that I created under contacts, I'm going to assume those are what I call transient fields. And by transient fields, meaning they're going to get overwritten on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So form submitted. The action would be record, update associated record, object update pet, association is pet name. And the field that we're going to update is the vaccine date. And we're going to update that using contact, custom field, vaccine date.
Also, once you create the object, it creates a trigger for like object updates.
Correct. But she's doing it from the contact to update the object.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're making a workaround.
Yeah, exactly. So under objects, actually, if I go back in here, go to pets, I'm going to add a pet, call this Harley Quinn. And there's no vaccine date in here. The owner for Harley Quinn is going to be me. All right, so now if I go back into here and I go into sites, forms, I need to add vaccine date in here. Now, if I go back into that custom object, why is vaccine dates like? But do you get the gist of where I'm going?
Yeah, I get the gist of it. So, question though, like, it's not really the custom objects, is it not really ideal for, like, let's say Harley has had 5 different vaccines. So even if I'm kind of copying the information in, I would have to have those fields as like already there. Like I couldn't have it like, because what I'm dealing with is like a tutoring center. So like we might have a student that signs up for a Monday at 3:30 session, a Wednesday at 5:30, a Friday at 1 o'clock or whatever. So it's like multiple things, but I'm not going to really have like, you know, correlating fields because it's like they can have unlimited appointments. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the vaccines actually, because it's not like there's just the rabies shot. There's like all the ones. The I can't remember all the vaccines, but like rabies, Bordello or whatever.
Bordetella, yeah.
Yeah.
For that, you would almost want to create a vaccine custom object
Okay.
and then
For the
have
pet custom object.
correct.
Okay, so then okay, it's kind of like contacts, pets, appointments. Okay. Even so, like I feel like it's going to get really complicated because right now we're allowing rescheduling of appointments, which is a little complicated. Um, and pretty soon we're going to allow cancellations. So then being able to update those custom objects probably wouldn't be ideal, right? Because right now what I'm saying is in 95% of the cases, the parents buy a book of hours and they share among their kids, those hours. And so I said, you know what, we're just going to do the parent record. That's it. That's going to be the rule for all of them now. Like we can't, because otherwise they're going to have a different email address when they book for each of the kids that they book, which is, going to be hard for them to remember.
Yeah,
But that's pretty.
that's not
Mhm.
ideal for what you're trying to do. High levels,
Yeah.
like I feel like Airtable is a better solution for what you're trying to do than
Okay. Ah.
but again, it's one of those like, is it really worth beating something into submission or paying a bunch of money to build all this out, or is it better to like track it in a Google sheet, you know?
And actually, that's what we're doing. For every appointment that comes in, I'm adding it to a Google Sheet, like every reschedule, every cancel. So they have kind of like a log of appointment activity. Um, but well, what we have right now is working. So maybe I should just leave it at that. I mean, I just set it up kind of not really knowing the best way, but then I keep hearing more about these custom objects. And so I'm like, okay, well, this could be something. I've looked into Airtables, but I don't really want to change my whole business to be around Airtables and have to train a non-technical person on that. So
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Why is it not associating that correctly? I will figure this out.
Gene, I have a question. Like, wouldn't it just be fruitful for you to create a custom field that would fill like however many children that they have and then each child name? Like, what's the difference if it's a whole object? Because are you associating like a teacher to the back end? That's really where like an object's nice, where like you have multiple parties connected to like one entity.
So the way it is, so basically, okay, so tell me what you're saying, because we do have a field that has, we can have a field that has a student name, but if they have like two kids, then it would be like student name one, student name two, or something like your child's name one, child's name two.
Well, yeah,
But
and you could
basically,
have it create, you could have the system create like another custom field.
mhm.
You know what I mean? So for like, oh, how many kids do you have? It's like, I have two. Okay. Create two custom. If somebody triggers that, then create two custom fields and then fill in the. Does that
Yeah,
make
so the
sense?
scenario that she wants is where each child has their own book of hours. So like Sue,
Yeah.
so let's say little Sandra has 100 hours, but George has 200 hours because he's, a sophomore in high school and he needs more hours to study for the SAT or whatever. Um, so that's what I'm trying to solve for right now. I mean, unless someone else can think of a good way to do it, I'm like, I don't know how to how to do that. So I've just told him it's just one bucket of hours, so we have remaining hours basically. Um, and any kids that they have go through that. And right now I have a form where, but we're going to be allowing the parents to book pretty soon. But right now I have a form where the parent puts in like their email address, their child's name, what they want to focus on, and they're submitting essentially a form to the tutoring center. And then the tutoring center is actually booking those appointments. But like next week, we're going to allow the parents to see that there is appointment booking that the admins are handling. And so we need in the system, we have like total hours, like let's say I have 200 hours, and every time they book a session, we minus 2 hours because each session is 2 hours. And then, anyway, and there could be more than most people have one child in tutoring, but some of them have two. And that's where it's getting complicated and trying to figure out if there's a way to work around it.
There is. I'm an idiot. The problem was ownership is not the right one. It's under associations and contacts. So
Okay.
now if I go back into my workflow and I change this back to pet name and save this action, I bet you if I rerun this workflow that I won't error out. There you go. And now if I go back into Harley Quinn, her vaccine date's populated.
Okay. But is this where vaccine is its own object as well?
No,
No.
this is where you'd have a form that was like that had each individual vaccine on it. And
Yeah.
then the vaccines would be custom fields. In the case of what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
let me show you how to do that. So let's delete this custom object.
But the other thing is the parents have to be able to reschedule and cancel appointments. So with the custom objects, do you think that would still be possible? So even if we're like copying data from the appointment
Yes.
into a custom object, we have to still be able to cancel and reschedule.
Yeah, so you would just add custom object association stuff into
Just make it trigger after the event ends rather than when it starts.
yeah.
So that way, if the event ever changes before it starts, then it won't end until the next change.
Like they actually click the reschedule button or
Well, no,
like you
like your
choose the
event's
date.
scheduled like based on a calendar that you have it. That's how the people are booking. So if you have it when the event ends rather than when the event starts, so that way, I mean, you could do it either way. But if they reschedule before the event starts, they're not going to get charged. But if they wait, then it'll automatically like say the hours were used. Like if they just no show for the appointment, they're getting charged for the hours. You'd have to go manually change it in the system.
So if you do child name and then we do the only caveat to this is they have to always, like, what I would do is I would serialize the child's name, or instead of calling it child name, call it like child ID code or something like that.
Okay.
So we'll do child ID code. And we'll put this in contacts. And then we need a custom field for like child update information or booking date. And booking date would need to go into contacts, so you have it as a available form field. Actually, you might be able to just do it in child. And then if you, yeah, the booking and cancellation is where it gets hairy. Let me drop you so I can get to a couple other people before we have to close. Actually, I have about 13 minutes left. I'm gonna drop you my Zoom link in the Zoom chat. And just book a meeting with me and we'll work on it together.
Okay. Thank you. It is
Because,
interesting.
yeah, because this would solve a lot of problems for some other clients that I have. So I have a vested interest in figuring this out with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, next up is Josh Collins.
Sup, dude, quick question. I have a client with a subscription product, and he's got two prices. One's monthly, and then one's a lifetime price. And I need to make, because the lifetime price is a one-time payment versus recurring payment, I need to include purchase of that. Is there a way to do one-time price products, include them as subscriptions, or is subscriptions limited to recurring products? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Subscriptions are limited to recurring products. What would you be trying to include? Like if I buy a lifetime license of this, what are you trying to give in exchange for the lifetime license?
Just to include in membership to a couple different things, communications, tags, right? I'm just trying to think.
Oh, that's
in the
easy.
workflow. Yeah, if I'm just trying to think through consolidating the workflows to do that. So I would just include different purchase of different price, said price or whatever. Yeah, as a trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thanks. I just need to say it out loud and get some feedback. Thanks.
Yep. Nope. That'll work. All right. Who else has questions? Feel free to raise your hand. We have about 12 minutes left. So if anyone has any last questions, if not, I'll give you guys 12 minutes back on your day. Sure, Willard, what's up?
What's up, my friend? First off, thank you so much for doing these calls. Actually, I have two questions. You had posted about doing voice AI calls on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Have you decided when you're going to do those?
I'm probably going to do them on Tuesday, and they'll start next week. And then I don't have a time picked out yet. It might be 5 p.m. Eastern, or it's going to be early in the morning, one of the two. So I'm trying to accommodate for time zones, because like Jared, who was on here earlier, it's like 2 a.m. his time, so, or 4 a.m. his time. So I'm trying to accommodate for different time zones, but it may just be one of those, like, it just has to be because if I do it early in the morning, then PST people, it's like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I may just do it at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Because a lot of the questions I'm going to have are related around that. I've been working on setting up the voice AI, been having an issue that even though in the instructions I'm telling it things that are mandatory to do, important to do, doing them in sequence, I'm just having some trouble with it. So I have a friend who has his master's in AI, was talking to him, and he told me to ask, well, what's the model that's used in the back end, and also the system prompt that's sent along with it. Do you know questions?
Yeah, it's ChatGPT 4.0.
Okay.
And the problem is The problem is actually the temperature of the prompt of the model itself that they're using.
Okay,
And because the temperature is set to be a little bit less restrictive, it's not handling mandatory items as well.
okay,
So if you're having trouble with that, there's platforms like Vappy or Assistable.
okay,
I build everything in Vappy, but it's more for developers. Assistable is a little bit more friendly for like everyday builders, or Retail is another
okay.
one, Retell. So Retail, Vappy, or Assistable are going to be the routes that you want to go.
Vappy. Okay, awesome. I will save other questions for when you're doing the voice AI calls, but great to see you here and thank you for being a resource for all of us.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you jumping on. All right, guys. Well, does anyone else have any last questions? Going once?
Yeah, real quick, Mario. The voice AI calls that Willard just mentioned, they're different than the HO Pro Tool AI employee calls.
That's correct. These are more advanced calls that are going to include like training on various platforms like Vappy, Assistable, Retail,
Okay.
more advanced, like doing basically squad setups on the voice AI. So they're much more advanced calls. I've been working a lot in the voice AI space on like appointment booking and stuff like that. So
Okay.
like this is one of my scenarios for outbound appointment setters, and this is like the code you have to, or the JSON payload you have to send with it to make the call. And then these are all of the different AI assistants that I'm using, and I create what's called a transient squad out of those. So there's a lot more. This is actually Vappy. There's a lot more configuration stuff required. But it's also, the flip side is it's way more powerful than what HighLevel's doing. So, but all right,
Yeah,
guys.
that's way beyond me, brother. Thanks.
Hey Mario, just a quick one on that. Sorry, I couldn't find where to put my hand up actually. But just on voice AI, I'm really interested in that. I've got a use case at the moment with a client that I'm talking to Fur Patel about. One of the problems I'm having with HighLevel is that they've got the ability to do a handoff in the call whisper function, but the AI can't access call whisper. So you imagine the AI receptionist takes a phone call, it wants to transfer it to Mary. It's not able to say, hey, Mary, I've got Joe on the line for you. It's just a straight transfer. So that's a problem for the client I've got. All of a sudden, their staff are used to having the receptionist say, hey, I've got Joe on the phone. Now they're just getting phone rings, they've got the person there, they don't know who it is or the subject of the call or anything like that. Have you come across a solution with Vappy or Retail that we can do that with?
That's a great question. Let me look. Let's find out. We have a couple minutes left, so let's take a look.
I was a bit frustrated with it, so I tagged Sean and Fur in a post on the Facebook group, and as soon as I tagged Sean, then Fur jumped on there and he's sent me a diary link to talk about it. But it is like there's a genuine use case there, and I think it'll be a problem for a lot of clients.
Did Fur say
So
if they were working on it, or he doesn't know?
He hasn't given me an indication on that. He's just opened the diary so I can have a chat with him. Because he didn't answer positively, I'd say they're not. So
yeah, so it's called a warm transfer,
yep.
and it's possible with Vappy.
Okay, cool.
I don't know about Retail.
Yeah, I've been trying really hard to stick to HighLevel. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose a client over it. If I have to move, I have to move.
Yeah, so retail is able to do warm transfers.
Okay, perfect.
And retail's not that expensive.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about as expensive as HighLevel is, but the advantage
Yep.
with retail is that you're gonna have a lot more flexibility than you have. The reason I use Vappy specifically is because Vappy supports what's called transients, which is not supported by like any other provider. And basically what it means is I'm able to, using HighLevel's workflows, dynamically create different assistants and squads. So it gets into like a much more complicated system. But for what I build in, it's a little bit more sense. Vappy, I don't know, like what's your familiarity with like JSON and software development?
Next to nothing.
Then retail would be the solution that I would use.
Cool.
And Mario, you were just
Just-
searching the platform plus warm transfer, right?
Yep.
So we could find out if SynthFlow actually does that.
I wouldn't use SynthFlow.
Gotcha. That's who AI or HL's using, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Vappy, retail, and assistable are the only three that I recommend. Like I would explicitly not recommend SynthFlow in this case.
Cool. Just on that point of trying to manage the prompt a little bit better, with this client, this one I was talking about, I had some similar issues trying to keep it on track and really managing the prompt. So I ended up just having ChatGPT open, obviously prompting ChatGPT that it was a prompt writer for that, and just worked on it, did demo calls, test calls, and said, no, it's still doing this, rewrite the prompt and really lock it down. At one stage, it was going way off track and having conversations about Donald Trump and Ukraine and the whole thing, So I had to lock it down pretty tightly. And I just used ChatGPT to help me write the prompt for it. That seemed to work okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge that you're gonna have with HighLevel's voice AI is that you can't control the temperature.
Yeah.
And the temperature is what drives the deterministic versus like more flexible options.
Yeah.
So that's where it's running you into trouble, because if you were using a lower temperature like 0.2, for example. So to give a clear example of like and we're about to end official time. So anyone that wants to hang out and discuss this, you're more than welcome to hang out. Anyone who doesn't, feel free to jump off, and I appreciate everyone who joined today. But basically on a 0.2 temperature, my prompt for if I go into Vappy and I look at my appointments that are outbound, actually let's do qualify sales outbound. So this one asks a series of questions. How do you currently use HighLevel? What plan are you on? What's your agency name? Recurring revenue, challenges are you facing? Try to solve these challenges, and what are your goals for 2025? When I set the temperature to 0.7 and it's a 0 to 2 value. When I set the temperature to 0.7, it just asks people, tell me about your goals and how do you plan to use HighLevel? And it like bundles them together and does all sorts of weird stuff. Whereas I'm like explicitly asked these questions in order. I set it to 0.2 and bam, it's perfect. But what you
Cool.
sacrifice is randomization and more fluid language. So ultimately, probably what I should do if I wanted to set this up, like if I were to do this again, I would have one assistant per question. And then I would have the temperature set a little bit higher so that it asks the questions more differently. It's a little bit more like fluffy, stuff like that. And then it would step through the sequence of each individual question set in a squad, but I have already spent 60 hours on this, so I'm not at a point of rebuilding it quite yet.
Yeah, understand.
Cool.
Thank you for
All
that,
right.
Mario. Big help. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Jean has a question.
I didn't know if you'd have a minute, but I have a question. I don't think this is possible, but I thought I'd ask since I'm pretty new. Is it possible to create a searchable directory on a Go High Level website? Like I have a client that wants to have kind of like a business directory, have like a logo and like a company name and you know, that kind of thing.
No, not yet, but there will be
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
They're going to release custom objects for websites specifically for that purpose.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Sure thing. All right, guys. Again, my name is Mario Aldayuz. I'm the head of partnerships here at HL Pro Tools. I appreciate everyone who took the time to join today. If you are not subscribed to me on YouTube, follow me on YouTube. Just go to search my name, Mario Aldayuz, and I should come right up. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll talk to you guys later.